Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English learning stories and tips. Cleopatra's Secrets and Life Story. Part 1. Today we are going to learn about Cleopatra, one of the most famous queens in history. She was not just a ruler, she was intelligent, powerful, and full of secrets. Cleopatra's life was filled with mystery, politics, love, and great ambition. Her story is truly fascinating and inspiring. Let's begin with her early life and rise to power in Part 1. Who was Cleopatra? Cleopatra was the last active ruler of Egypt from the famous Ptolemaic dynasty. She was not actually Egyptian by blood. Her family came from Greece, but they ruled Egypt for many generations. Cleopatra was born in 69 BCE in Alexandria, Egypt. She was well educated and could speak many languages, including Greek, Latin, and Egyptian. She was not just beautiful, she was intelligent, clever, and knew how to rule a kingdom. Cleopatra's early life. Cleopatra was born into a royal family, but her childhood was not easy. Her father, King Ptolemy XII, was the ruler of Egypt, but many people did not like him. He had to leave Egypt for some time because of political problems. When Cleopatra was young, she studied science, mathematics, philosophy, and politics. She also learned about different cultures and languages, which helped her later when she became queen. Unlike other rulers in her family, Cleopatra was the only one who learned to speak Egyptian fluently. This made her closer to her people. After her father died, Cleopatra became queen at the age of 18. But she did not rule alone. She had to share the throne with her 10-year-old brother, Ptolemy. The struggle for power. In ancient Egypt, it was common for royal families to marry their own brothers or sisters to keep the throne within the family. Cleopatra had to marry her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII, because that was the tradition. However, Cleopatra did not want to share power. She was smart, ambitious, and wanted to rule Egypt alone. Soon, a fight for power began between Cleopatra and her brother. Ptolemy XIII and his advisors forced Cleopatra to leave Egypt. She had to escape to Syria, but she did not give up. She started gathering an army to take back her throne. At this time, Julius Caesar, the powerful Roman general, arrived in Egypt. Cleopatra saw an opportunity to get help from him. She planned a secret meeting that changed the course of history. The famous carpet story. Cleopatra wanted to meet Julius Caesar, but she could not just walk into the palace. Ptolemy XIII's guards would never allow her. So she came up with a clever plan. She had herself wrapped inside a carpet, or some say a bed sack, and secretly delivered to Caesar's room. When the carpet was unrolled, Cleopatra appeared before him. This surprised Caesar, and he was impressed by her bravery and intelligence. Cleopatra was charming, persuasive, and confident. She convinced Caesar to help her take back the throne. With Caesar's support, Cleopatra's army defeated Ptolemy XIII. He died in battle, and Cleopatra became the sole ruler of Egypt. She later married her younger brother Ptolemy XIV, but she had complete control over Egypt. Conclusion of Part 1. In this part, we learned: checkmark Cleopatra was highly intelligent and educated. She became queen at 18 but faced a power struggle with her brother. She used her intelligence and charm to gain Julius Caesar's support. She became the true ruler of Egypt after winning the battle. But her story does not end here. In Part 2, we will learn about her relationship with Julius Caesar, her time in Rome, and what happened after Caesar's assassination. Part 2. In Part 1, we learned how Cleopatra became the Queen of Egypt with the help of Julius Caesar. Now, we will explore her relationship with Caesar, her time in Rome, and what happened after his assassination. Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. After Cleopatra regained her throne, she strengthened her relationship with Julius Caesar. She was not only smart and powerful, but also charming and strategic. Caesar was one of the most influential leaders of Rome, and Cleopatra saw an opportunity to secure her position as Egypt's queen. Cleopatra and Caesar soon became lovers, and in 47 BCE, she gave birth to a son named Ptolemy Caesar, also known as Caesarion, meaning Little Caesar. Many people believe that Caesar was his father, but the Romans never officially accepted him as Caesar's heir. Cleopatra visits Rome. Cleopatra traveled to Rome with her son Caesarion. She stayed in Caesar's luxurious home, and her presence caused a lot of controversy. Many Romans did not like the idea of their great leader being involved with an Egyptian queen. Despite this, Caesar honored Cleopatra. He even placed a golden statue of her in the Temple of Venus, which showed how important she was to him. Cleopatra also introduced Egyptian culture and traditions to Rome. But everything changed when Julius Caesar was assassinated in 44 BCE. The death of Caesar, a turning point. Julius Caesar's enemies believed he was becoming too powerful, so they killed him on March 15, 44 BCE. This was a shocking moment for Cleopatra. She quickly realized that without Caesar, she was in danger. Rome was no longer safe for her, so she left immediately and returned to Egypt. There, she made Caesarion her co-ruler, hoping that he would one day rule as Caesar's rightful heir. But without Caesar, Cleopatra needed a new political ally. Soon, another powerful Roman leader would enter her life, Mark Antony. Part 3. Now, let's continue with Cleopatra's relationship with Mark Antony and the great battles that followed. Cleopatra and Mark Antony, a new alliance. After Caesar's death, Rome was divided between his followers and his enemies. One of his strongest supporters was Mark Antony, a powerful Roman general. Cleopatra knew that to protect Egypt, she needed to gain Antony's support. In 41 BCE, Antony invited Cleopatra to meet him in Tarsus, modern-day Turkey. Cleopatra arrived in style, dressed as the goddess Aphrodite, sailing in a magnificent ship with golden sails and exotic perfumes in the air. Antony was immediately captivated by her beauty, intelligence, and charm. They soon became lovers, forming a powerful political and romantic alliance. Love, power, and war. Cleopatra and Antony spent time together in Alexandria, and their love grew stronger. Cleopatra gave birth to twins, Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene, followed by another son, Ptolemy Philadelphus. Meanwhile, Rome was still unstable. Octavian, the adopted son of Julius Caesar, saw Cleopatra and Antony as a threat. He wanted full control of Rome and started turning the Roman people against them. In 32 BCE, war broke out between Antony and Cleopatra and Octavian. The final battle, the Battle of Actium, took place in 31 BCE, the fall of Antony and Cleopatra. During the Battle of Actium, Antony and Cleopatra's fleet was defeated by Octavian's forces. Cleopatra escaped back to Egypt, and Antony followed her. However, things got worse when false news spread that Cleopatra had died. Believing Cleopatra was gone, Antony was heartbroken. In his grief, he fell on his sword and was mortally wounded. Before dying, he was taken to Cleopatra, where he died in her arms. Cleopatra was now left alone, with Octavian's army closing in on her. Conclusion of Part 3. In this part, we learned Cleopatra's new alliance with Mark Antony, the growing conflict with Rome, the Battle of Actium, and Antony's tragic death. Part 4. In Part 3, we learned how Cleopatra and Mark Antony formed an alliance, fought against Octavian, and lost the Battle of Actium. Mark Antony tragically took his own life, believing Cleopatra was dead. Now, we will explore Cleopatra's final days as she tries to protect her kingdom and her children. Cleopatra's last hope. After Antony's death, Cleopatra knew she was in great danger. Octavian, the new ruler of Rome, was coming for her. She had few choices left: either surrender or find a way to escape. Cleopatra had one last plan. She tried to negotiate with Octavian. She wanted to keep her throne and protect her children, especially her son Caesarion, who was Julius Caesar's heir. She sent messengers to Octavian, offering riches and peace, hoping he would allow her to rule Egypt under Roman protection. However, Octavian had no interest in sharing power. He wanted to take Egypt completely and bring Cleopatra back to Rome as a prisoner. A queen in captivity. Octavian finally entered Alexandria in 30 BCE, and Cleopatra locked herself inside her palace. She realized that Rome had won. Soon, Octavian's soldiers captured her 3 children, and Cleopatra was taken as a prisoner. Octavian did not kill her immediately. Instead, he planned to take her to Rome and parade her as a trophy in a great victory celebration. This was a humiliation that Cleopatra could not accept. She had always been a queen, a ruler, and a powerful woman. She did not want to live as a prisoner in chains. Cleopatra's final plan. Cleopatra now had one final choice. She could live in shame or die with honor. She chose death. She sent a secret message to Octavian, pretending to surrender. She asked for time to prepare herself and give offerings to the gods before leaving for Rome. Octavian agreed, thinking she had accepted her fate. But Cleopatra had one last trick. She arranged for a deadly snake, an Egyptian cobra, asp, to be smuggled into her chamber. The venom of this snake was deadly but painless, and Cleopatra believed it would allow her to die as a queen. Dressed in royal clothes, wearing her crown, Cleopatra held the snake to her arm. The venom quickly spread through her body. Her servants found her lying on a golden bed, lifeless. At the age of 39, Cleopatra, the last queen of Egypt, was gone. The aftermath. When Octavian found out that Cleopatra was dead, he was shocked but not surprised. He had wanted to take her to Rome, but now Egypt was his without a fight. Cleopatra's son, Caesarion, tried to escape, but Octavian ordered his execution to remove any threat to his rule. Cleopatra's other children, Alexander Helios, Cleopatra Selene, and Ptolemy Philadelphus, were taken to Rome and raised by Octavian's family. With Cleopatra's death, Egypt officially became a part of the Roman Empire, ending 3,000 years of Egyptian rule. Cleopatra's legacy. Cleopatra was one of the most fascinating rulers in history. She was not just beautiful, she was smart, ambitious, and fearless. She knew how to use her intelligence, charm, and strategy to maintain power in a world dominated by men. Her story continues to inspire people even today. She proved that a woman could be strong, intelligent, and powerful, even in the most difficult times. Conclusion of Part 4. In this part, we learned Cleopatra's final attempt to save her kingdom, how she was captured by Octavian but refused to be a prisoner, her dramatic death by snakebite, the end of Egypt's independence, and its fall under Roman rule. But Cleopatra's story does not end here. Part 5. In Part 4, we saw how Cleopatra made her final decision and chose to die as a queen rather than a prisoner. Egypt became a part of the Roman Empire, and the great Ptolemaic dynasty came to an end. But Cleopatra's story did not disappear. In this part, we will explore the mysteries, myths, and lasting impact of Cleopatra's life. The mystery of Cleopatra's tomb. One of the greatest mysteries in history is the location of Cleopatra's tomb. After her death, Octavian allowed her to be buried with Mark Antony, as she had wished. But where? Some historians believe Cleopatra's tomb is somewhere in Alexandria, hidden beneath the ruins of the ancient city. Others think it could be in a secret tomb near Taposiris Magna, an ancient temple west of Alexandria. For centuries, archaeologists have searched for her final resting place, but it remains lost. If Cleopatra's tomb is ever found, it could reveal new secrets about her life and death. Cleopatra's intelligence and achievements. Many people focus on Cleopatra's beauty, but her greatest strength was her intelligence. She was highly educated. She spoke many languages, including Greek, Latin, and Egyptian. A skilled diplomat, she formed alliances with Rome's most powerful men. A scientist and scholar, she studied medicine, philosophy, and mathematics. A master of politics, she ruled Egypt for 21 years, despite Roman interference. She was not just a queen of Egypt. She was a symbol of intelligence, power, and leadership. Cleopatra's influence on modern culture. Cleopatra's story has inspired people for over 2,000 years. She has been the subject of books. Many writers had written about her life and legacy. Movies. One of the most famous movies about her is the 1963 film Cleopatra, starring Elizabeth Taylor. Art. Ancient and modern artists have painted her image in different ways. She is remembered as a queen, a leader, and a woman who defied expectations. Conclusion of Part 5. In this part, we learned the mystery of Cleopatra's lost tomb, her intelligence and leadership skills, how she continues to inspire modern culture. But there is still one final part left. Part 6. In Part 5, we explored Cleopatra's mysteries, intelligence, and influence on modern culture. Now, in this part, we will discuss the lessons we can learn from her life, her leadership qualities, and how she remains one of the most remarkable figures in history. Lessons from Cleopatra's life. Even after 2,000 years, Cleopatra's life teaches us important lessons about power, ambition, and resilience. Here are some key lessons from her story. 1. Knowledge is power. Cleopatra was not just a beautiful queen. She was highly educated. She spoke multiple languages, studied science, politics, and philosophy, and used her intelligence to rule Egypt successfully. Lesson: never stop learning. Knowledge gives you power to make wise decisions in life. 2. Confidence is key. Cleopatra was always confident in herself. She did not let others control her destiny. Even when Rome was powerful, she stood strong and negotiated with great leaders like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Lesson: believe in yourself. Confidence helps you face challenges and succeed in life. 3. Adaptability leads to success. Cleopatra lived in a dangerous time, where Egypt was constantly threatened by Rome. But she adapted to the situation, forming alliances to protect her kingdom. Lesson: life is full of changes. The ability to adapt and stay strong can help you succeed in difficult situations. 4. Leadership requires strategy. Cleopatra was a master strategist. She knew when to negotiate, when to fight, and when to retreat. She understood the importance of timing and planning. Lesson: success comes from planning, strategy, and taking action at the right time. Legacy is greater than life. Even after her death, Cleopatra's name has not been forgotten. She left behind a legacy of intelligence, strength, and leadership. Lesson: your actions and decisions today shape how people remember you. Make your life meaningful. Cleopatra's enduring legacy. Even though Cleopatra's life ended tragically, her spirit lives on. She continues to inspire people in history. She is one of the most famous female rulers of all time. Education. Students and historians still study her life. Women's empowerment. She proved that women can be powerful leaders. Cleopatra's life teaches us to be bold, intelligent, and fearless. Conclusion of Part 6. In this part, we learned the valuable life lessons from Cleopatra's story, how she remains a symbol of intelligence and leadership, why her legacy continues to inspire people today. But Cleopatra's story is not over yet. Part 7. In Part 6, we explored the lessons we can learn from Cleopatra's life and how she continues to inspire people today. Now, in this part, we will uncover some fascinating myths and hidden facts about Cleopatra's life. Interesting myths and facts about Cleopatra. Cleopatra's story has been told for over 2,000 years, but not everything people believe about her is true. Some facts have been exaggerated, while some secrets remain hidden. Let's explore the truth. Myth 1. Cleopatra was the most beautiful woman in the world. Truth. Cleopatra was known for her charm, intelligence, and confidence, not just her beauty. Ancient coins show that she had a strong nose and sharp features rather than a traditionally perfect face. Historians believe it was her personality and intelligence that made her attractive, not just her looks. Lesson: beauty fades, but intelligence and confidence last forever. Myth 2. Cleopatra was Egyptian checkmark. Truth. Even though Cleopatra was queen of Egypt, she was actually Greek. She came from the Ptolemaic dynasty, which was founded by one of Alexander the Great's generals. Despite this, she fully embraced Egyptian culture, even learning the Egyptian language, which no other Ptolemaic ruler had done before. Lesson: true leadership means understanding and respecting your people. Myth 3. Cleopatra died from a snake bite. Truth. The most famous story says Cleopatra died from an asp, a poisonous snake bite. However, modern historians believe she may have used poison instead. Some even think she was secretly murdered by Octavian's soldiers. Lesson: history is full of mysteries. The truth is sometimes hidden. Myth 4. Cleopatra was just a seductress. Truth. Many stories focus on her love affairs with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, but Cleopatra was much more than that. She was a brilliant ruler, a diplomat, and a strategist. Her relationships with these Roman leaders were based on political alliances, not just romance. Lesson: never judge someone based on rumors. Look at their true achievements. Rarely known facts about Cleopatra. She was the last active ruler of Egypt. After her, Egypt became a Roman province. She was an author. Cleopatra wrote books on medicine and philosophy, but they were lost over time. She loved science. She studied astronomy, chemistry, and mathematics. She had 4 children. Only one, her son Caesarion, with Julius Caesar, survived for a short time after her death. She built a powerful navy. Cleopatra knew the importance of a strong military to defend Egypt. Conclusion of Part 7. In this part, we uncovered The biggest myths about Cleopatra. Hidden truths about her life and death. Lesser-known facts that prove she was a brilliant and powerful leader. But there is one final part left. Part 8. In Part 7, we explored the biggest myths and hidden truths about Cleopatra. Now, in this part, we will discuss Cleopatra's influence on history and how she shaped the world even after her death. Cleopatra's influence on the ancient world. Even though Cleopatra's reign ended over 2,000 years ago, her influence remained strong. Her actions, intelligence, and leadership left a huge impact on Egypt, Rome, and the world. 1. The fall of Egypt and the rise of Rome. Cleopatra was the last active ruler of Egypt. After her death in 30 BCE, Egypt became part of the Roman Empire. This was a major turning point in history. Rome became the most powerful empire in the world, controlling Egypt's riches, culture, and knowledge. Without Cleopatra, Egypt might have remained independent for a longer time. Her decisions shaped the history of Rome and the entire Mediterranean region. 2. Cleopatra's role in women's history. Cleopatra was one of the most powerful female leaders in history. She ruled independently, made important political decisions, and commanded armies and fleets. She proved that women can be strong, intelligent rulers. She inspired future female leaders like Queen Elizabeth I and Catherine the Great. Even today, Cleopatra is a symbol of female power and intelligence. 3. Cleopatra's contribution to science and knowledge. Many people do not know that Cleopatra was highly educated. She loved learning and contributed to medicine, philosophy, and astronomy. She promoted education and encouraged scientific research in Egypt. She was interested in alchemy and early chemistry, which later influenced modern science. Even though many of her writings were lost, her influence helped preserve Egyptian and Greek knowledge for future generations. Cleopatra, in modern culture. Cleopatra's story is still told and celebrated around the world. She has inspired movies. Many Hollywood films depict her story, including the famous 1963 movie Cleopatra. Books and literature. Countless books, novels, and plays have been written about her. Art and fashion. Cleopatra's style and beauty continue to inspire designers. Music and theater. Many songs and operas have been created about her life. Even after 2,000 years, Cleopatra remains one of the most famous women in history. Conclusion of Part 8. In this part, we discovered how Cleopatra's decisions changed world history, how she influenced women's leadership for centuries, how her love for knowledge contributed to science and education, how she still inspires movies, books, and art today. But Cleopatra's story is not finished yet. Part 9. In Part 8, we discussed how Cleopatra shaped history and continues to inspire people today. Now, in this final part, we will explore her lasting legacy and the lessons we can learn from her life. Cleopatra's legacy, why she still matters. Even though Cleopatra lived over 2,000 years ago, her story is still relevant today. She was not just a queen, she was a visionary leader, a strategist, and a symbol of power. Let's look at how Cleopatra's influence still exists in politics, leadership, and personal growth. 1. Leadership and intelligence. Over beauty. Many stories focus on Cleopatra's beauty, but what truly made her powerful was her intelligence, confidence, and leadership skills. She could speak multiple languages, making her a great communicator. She used diplomacy to form strong alliances and protect Egypt. She was highly educated, showing that knowledge is power. Lesson: true power comes from knowledge, confidence, and strategic thinking, not just appearance. The power of perseverance. Cleopatra faced many challenges, civil wars, betrayals, and political enemies, but she never gave up. She fought for her throne against her brother. She rebuilt her kingdom after tough times. She made bold decisions, even in the face of danger. Lesson: no matter how difficult life gets, keep fighting for what you believe in. 3. Women can be strong leaders. At a time when women had little power, Cleopatra ruled one of the greatest kingdoms in the world. She proved that women can be just as strong, intelligent, and capable as men. She led armies and navies. She managed Egypt's economy and resources. She stood against Rome's most powerful men and negotiated on her terms. Lesson: women can be great leaders, and their strength should never be underestimated. The importance of adaptability. Cleopatra understood that to survive and succeed, she needed to adapt. She changed her strategies based on the situation. She learned the Egyptian language to connect with her people. She formed alliances with Rome when necessary. She used both diplomacy and military strength when needed. Lesson: life is always changing. Adapting to new situations is the key to success. Final thoughts. What we can learn from Cleopatra. Cleopatra's life teaches us that intelligence, resilience, and adaptability are more important than wealth or beauty. She was not perfect. She made mistakes, faced defeats, and had many enemies. But she never let those things define her. Her story of ambition, power, and survival continues to inspire people worldwide. The end of Cleopatra's story. Cleopatra was not just a queen, she was a legend. Her legacy lives on in history, movies, and books. Her strength, intelligence, and leadership continue to inspire us today. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.